A lot of your listeners probably know me and can't stand me. I hope that you saw my Margaret Thatcher cut out, and I would like to take the time to remind you that she is the best Prime Minister we've ever had. Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Lawless podcast, and today we're joined by Sophie.
Hello.
And yeah, we're just going to be having a wonderful discussion today. So yeah, Sophie, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Well, my name's Sophie Corcoran. I'm from Thurrock in Essex. I study business management and I work as a freelance journalist and a political commentator. And I also work in KFC.
Also KFC, not to be forgotten.
Not to be forgotten, never.
No. So yeah, what got you into that sort of stuff then?
To be quite honest, I don't really know. I've always sort of been into it. Because I was never one of those smart kids in school, but I'd always have something to say. And I just grew up, got into politics locally. I went on a school trip into Parliament, and I was obviously very right-wing. My parents were right-wing, so it just made sense. That's how I grew up. And then the Conservative, the husband of my MP, saw him, was like, hey, like, you're kind of cool.
You're cool,
Come join our party, and the rest is history, really.
Nice one. So yeah, growing up in sort of Essex, how was that for you? A fellow Essex person like me, so yeah.
Well, I mean, Thurrock's a bit of a shithole, not to be honest with you. It was good though. Like, you have a good sense of community. I'm glad that we're not all posh. A lot of council estate everywhere. 6 out of 10 of the schools are in special measures, so none of us really had any chance of success anyway. So we just had a good time.
Yeah. So what was actually like secondary school like for you? How was that?
Oh, it was awful. It was the worst experience of my entire life. I hated every second of it. Like, from year 7 to year 11, my life was destroyed in my secondary school. Because basically, my school obviously was in special measures. And I remember in year 7, it was the end of year 7, and we had tutor groups. I don't know if you had those. Do you have tutor groups?
Yeah.
So, like, we had to go to tutor like an hour every day. And on GCSE results day, so in the summer after I was year 7, one of the guys in my tutor group killed himself.
Fuck.
And then 6 months later, another girl killed herself. We had a paedophile who got caught in Spain. Shouldn't laugh. Our school had lower scores than the special needs school. I myself am epileptic, so obviously I was in bottom set. They would not move me up no matter how smart I was. So all the kids I was in school with got no GCSEs, and here I am. They shouldn't have put me there. It was just terrible. Every minute of it was terrible. Then my sister, 2 people have killed themselves. My sister has now mental health problems. She's trying to kill herself. It was just dreadful. Every minute of it was horrendous.
I'm so sorry. That sounds so intense, honestly.
Yeah, it was literally the worst 5 years of my life, but also kind of the best 5 years of my life. That was banter. Like, the girl I sat next to in business is in prison for murder. Again, she shouldn't laugh. She was alright at the time.
Hell, yeah.
I just see her. My favourite memory of her, we were sitting in the canteen and we were just in groups, and she just walked past someone's chair and just literally grabbed her hair and just pulled her off the chair. They were like proper scrapping, and then she
in the canteen.
Yeah, and then she punched the head teacher. It was great. It was great. I remember
the head teacher got punched.
Yeah, I remember having a boy up by his neck in my business GCSE warm up because he wouldn't be quiet. So I got him up by his neck. My teachers were really proud of me then.
Yeah, it was like, you shut him up, that's it.
Yeah, I did, because they hated him because he was a little arsehole, right? So they were grateful for my services.
Fair. Had to be done. Someone had to do it, yeah.
We hated our science teacher, our really good science teacher, got sacked, so we went on a strike because we didn't want the dipsy one that we got. And then one time, this is my proudest moment of secondary school, we got wireless speakers and there's polystyrene ceilings at the top.
Okay.
So we hid the speakers in the ceiling and then played sex noises through it. And she couldn't find where the speakers were, so she started crying.
Well, she started having a breakdown.
She started having a breakdown, which is good because we hated her. And all of the senior leadership were coming in. They were like, where is the speakers? And they couldn't find them.
None of them knew where it was.
No, they were searching people's bags. It was excellent. Like, people were getting pulled out of class, but no one could get in trouble because they didn't know where they were. And then after school, we all just sort of totted back in, climbed up on the desk, and took them out of the ceilings again.
Fair, that was it.
And it was excellent. That is a real community spirit.
That's it. Everyone came together to achieve a common goal.
Yeah, and it was also the worst 5 years of my life in terms of that, but it was also the best 5 years of my life. And all of that, we would fight with each other. And I went to another school for sixth form, And you can tell the special measure schools from the non-special measure schools, because the special measure schools, if we had a problem with each other, we'd just fight. We'd have a scrap, but we'd be good. We'd be good the next day. But the girls in the non-special measure school, they drag it on for months, don't they? And they just like give each other dirty looks. Don't give each other dirty looks. Slap the. Do you know what I mean?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Like it was like that. But no, it was great. We're all screwed. I don't think anyone in my secondary school has really gone to uni other than my twin sister, and I know another guy did, but he dropped out. I walk down the street sometimes past the pub, like if I'm doing stuff, and they scream at me out the window, Sophie. I'm like, yeah, they are in the pub all the time. Yeah, that's all they do. Yeah, they're a little bit waste of space. It's really bless them, but they're great people. So.
Exactly. Like, it's really amazing how you've come from all that, and you're still doing what you're doing. So
yeah, I don't really know what happened. Really, I went to my sixth form. I think that's where it all changed for me.
Was the sixth form a bit better then, or?
It was that one of the two schools in the area that actually sort of had their shit together. Fair. And like could get people places, which was good. Like a lot of us sort of went to like Russell Group schools and stuff.
And that's ideal. What would you say the sort of highlights of that secondary school experience would be? What would you say the key sort of moments? What do you?
Well, obviously the porn in the classroom was the real.
Yep,
was the real topper.
Number one.
Seeing our teacher get dragged out and arrested by the police was another good one.
Was the guy a bit weird the whole time?
The paedophile guy. Yeah. Well, it was really strange because he set up like fake Facebook profiles to like sexually harass the kids. Yeah. And he not only did a girl one, he was a guy. He also did a boy one, so like gay porn. And it was amazing. But we had an assembly on these fake Facebook accounts, and he was in the assembly, and he was really good friends with my form tutor because they were both English teachers. And this guy looks like Ken the Barbie doll, right?
Brilliant.
Like, exactly. And he said to us, I don't understand why people would do this, X, Y, Z. And it was him. It was him all along. Yeah.
So he's had the audacity to an assembly
about
not making fake Facebook profiles. Then
he went on the run. It was on Crime Watch, which is like the most exciting thing. And he got found and arrested in Barcelona.
What?
Yeah.
So he fled abroad and found like Interpol or something like.
Yeah, and got like arrested at a shopping centre in Barcelona, which I think is kind of saucy. It's kind of cool.
Bit of a story there, isn't it? Like.
Yeah. So nothing else. I don't think anything good ever happened at this school, but like it was like
just drama.
It was banter. Like we had good. I remember. So the guy that I had up by his neck in the business warm up.
Just before the GCSE.
Yeah. It was literally like right before. Then he was doing a GCSE exam, and he like snuck his phone in with him.
Oh no.
And then all I know is that he was fighting the head teacher, so they locked him in a classroom, and he was like throwing shit, and he headbutted the wall so hard that he knocked himself out.
What?
And the police were there, and we all sort of scattered off to go to the Rounders rally, which we won.
A bit of Rounders, come on.
Which we won, and when we come back, they were still there.
We're still having a scrap in there, like.
Like he was still like in there, and I was like, oh my god, like he's such a legend. His name's Spencer. We still speak. He's a good guy.
Shout out to you, Spencer.
Shout out to you, Spencer.
You mental lad.
Yeah, he's a nutcase. They all are. I wonder how Laura's doing. She's in prison.
Yeah, Laura, if you're hearing this in prison, shout out to you.
Oh yeah, I hope she doesn't. But yeah, it's a bit. One thing, the best thing was they used to sell weed in the yellow things of the Kinder eggs.
Huh?
And like the yellow things.
Yeah. The plastic little Kinder egg things. Yeah.
We were really clever. I had a great time in secondary school. I was on report once.
Oh yeah, the old report. I
was on report because I had this really this English teacher I really hated, and I was dyslexic. She hated me anyway. And my sister was really naughty, my twin. So I have a twin, and she sent my twin out, and then she started shouting at me because of my twin. So I literally kindly replied, "Why the fuck are you shouting at me
nice
for?"
Nice kind reply.
And I ended up getting I ended up being on like concerns there. It was great. They were like, "Sophie, what are you doing in here?" I was like, "Nothing."
Not me, someone else.
Yeah, but no, it was pretty good. Like it was just class. We used to have to like do the open days and help out at the open days, and we'd all go to like the shit chicken shop like down the road. It was just
nothing on KFC.
It was just great. No, nothing on KFC, but yeah, it was good times. We had real good times.
Mental.
I mean, I'm really glad that school's gotten taken over, because now I reread this. I mean, what a catastrophe.
As a school, that is insane. Right?
Yeah, I mean, like we were in like special measures, and they've got taken over by the school that runs my sixth form. So
the actual good school, though.
Yeah. which is positive.
That's good. So hopefully, you know, the future generations of this school will not have the teacher going to run to Barcelona, among other things.
Yeah, I mean, we had one teacher between 4 classes for ICT. Because
there's one bloke just doing all of them.
The head of ICT had to go on a training course for watching porn on his laptop.
What, in school? Sorry, mate. You have to go on a training course.
I really don't know what happened in the recruitment process of getting these
what was the interviews like? Do you like kids? Yes. Do you watch porn in lessons? Yes. Well, mate, it's the job, and you come.
I mean, the head teacher now lives in Australia, and she was my favourite. She wanted to adopt me and my twin because we were really cute. And she said that to my parents. She was like, if anything ever happens to you, we want to adopt your kids. And my mum was like, right, okay, great, thank you.
Okay, cheers.
But like, she did like money laundering. Like, I read
the staff team.
Well, this the principal. She was the head teacher, and she promoted herself to CEO of one school. So she's the CEO of one school, and all she did was walked her dog in the corridor, and would walk into a class and just go, just shut up, and that was it, come out.
So like, she's a CEO in her literal role.
She promoted herself.
So guys, I'm actually the CEO now.
Which I think is queen shit, really. Like, I aspire to be like her, because she was evil, and I think I've got my political evilness from her a little bit, which I'm very grateful for. She reminds me of Thatcher, so good for her. A little bit of Maggie there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so let's talk about Maggie. So the old
my queen.
Your queen. So how did that start with this sort of like cutout? Where did that come from? That was a big thing on Twitter, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I told you in lockdown, I watched a documentary of Margaret Thatcher. That's how I got Twitter, and my mum bought me a life-size cardboard cutout of Margaret Thatcher.
Fair, nice gift.
Like, it is literally like my pride and joy. Like, I will not let anyone touch her. I have a custom-made blanket of Margaret Thatcher as well.
Custom? What? So you've actually gone and got it like
custom-made? Yeah.
Fair.
She's my everything. I'm gonna get a tattoo of the ladies not for turning on my fire. But then I did a video on grade inflation, and I forgot to move Maggie out of my room. Oh. So she was sitting in the background. She was just chilling in the background. And the video ended up getting like 200,000 views, and a lot of it was because she's got a Margaret Thatcher cut out.
Look at the back, guys, look at the back.
Yeah. And then, so it was like results day, and everything was like normal. And that was really funny on results day, because obviously I still had quite a big platform by then. I had maybe about 13,000 followers, I don't know, 14,000. And then I posted, you know, like you have the UCAS track thing. I posted about getting into Durham, and it got about 60 quote tweets of like angry lefties, like, how
dare she get into Durham?
And then later, some random girl that followed me is like a lefty, that doesn't go to Durham. She has nothing to do with Durham. I don't know her. She posted a meme that was basically like, you know, you go to Durham, you see your flatmate, and next thing you know, she pulls out a massive fucking cardboard cutout of Margaret Thatcher or something like that. And I saw the tweet when it had about 200 likes. I thought, well, that's funny, right? So, good crack, and then next thing I know, it's got about 50,000 likes, and it's on like every meme page. And my business teacher then goes and emails me and says, Sophie, it's really strange me seeing you all over your timeline. Don't be a Darren Grimes mate. Well, Darren Grimes is obviously one of my...
Oh, your mate. So yeah,
he's my mate. So that's going to be an interesting conversation when I go back to sixth form. But
yeah, you can go back and do like a speech and be like, well, miss, I did become a Darren Grimes. So here I
am. which is good, but it was kind of funny. And then, yeah, ever since then, I just can't get off of that meme page.
Which meme page is this?
The Archbishop of Banterbury or something like that. Or like Made in Poor Taste is another one that I tend to be on quite a lot, which is valid, to be fair.
They just drop you in, and it's just like, do they tell you before they post you, or they just do it?
No, No, and then I get like my school friends like, oh my God, you're famous.
Sophie, you on the meme page again.
And I all of a sudden, like, I look at my phone, I've got like 10 Instagram messages. I'm like, here we go again. Like, I just know at this point. Like,
nice. So what was sort of like the breakthrough Twitter? It wasn't the Thatcher thing, was it? It was something else, wasn't it? Was there sort of a moment when it just was like the platform began, or where did it actually start?
No, really, it just started and just grew quite consistently, but quite quickly. Yeah. A lot of my tweets, in the beginning, were about Margaret Thatcher. So I owe a lot to my success, but it sort of just grew. There was no like massively viral tweet that got, you know, hundreds of thousands of likes.
One thing that just like
it was just, and it's still like that now. It's just every tweet more and more. You know what I mean? And then I got asked to. What did I get asked to do? I got asked to go on talk radio one time to discuss vaccines for universities, because I wrote an article in the Mirror about it, and I met a presenter called Patrick Christie's, and he then moved over to GB News, so I ended up becoming quite a big part of that. And he asked me, you know, can you be a part of my show? And that was it, really, I think.
Nice. So how did you get into sort of writing articles for newspapers then?
Well, I saw people do it on Twitter, and I thought, oh, that's cool.
Let's do it, yeah.
I mean, I'm dyslexic, I can't write, and I'm thick as two plagues, but yeah, let's go, let's do it. And I did, so paid me the $1, job done.
Job done. Cash in hand.
Exactly,
Bang, that's it.
Yeah. And I wrote a really controversial one about Margaret Thatcher, of course, why else? And that was really funny.
Nice. What paper was that for?
It's Mail Plus, so it's a Daily Mail.
Nice. So then did they ask you to write a specific piece on that? Was it sort of like write whatever you want, or?
Well, you just sort of say what you want to write about, really. And you just sort of, you know, you pitch an idea. So this is what I want to write about today, X, Y, Z. That's it, really.
Nice. So what other sort of articles have you written?
I've written a lot on vaccines for children, vaccinations in general, university, a lot of school stuff. Obviously, I want to be a teacher, so the whole education system stuff is really important to me. So I've done a lot about that, about all the exam stuff, online learning for schools, Margaret Thatcher, the Conservative Party and how it's no longer conservative. You know, just a whole, pretty much any like sort of breaking news story I would tend to write about, really. Nice.
So what do you think about sort of like the vaccine, and what sort of the major sort of points you made in these articles?
Well, I mean, I'm double vaxxed, so a lot of people, you know, instantly assume that I'm some sort of anti-vaxxer. I'm not. I have both vaccines, but I'm anti-vaccine passports. I'm anti-vaccines for children. Don't think children need them. I think this booster jab is a load of crap. I'm not getting it. Yeah, that's it, basically. This whole sort of vaccines to save Christmas. We're bringing masks back in, and we're hearing the same thing from the same people. Oh, it's only a mask. Well, it was only a mask. It was only 2 meters. It was only, you know, 3 weeks to flatten the curve. It was only a vaccine. It was only 2 vaccines. It was only a booster. It's only vaccine passports. It's only a jab for your job. It's only your freedom. Do you know what I mean?
It's like, where it goes, isn't
it? You know, the problem is if you give a government your freedom, you're never going to get it back.
Yeah, 100%.
So, you know, it's not only a mask. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, little bit, and they take it bit by bit by bit. And the government have conned everyone. They're now saying that people that are double vaccinated are now classed as unvaccinated. I mean, what kind of bullshit is that?
You've made me do this, I've done it, and then...
They're literally conning you. I mean, this entire thing started with, quote, saying 3 weeks to flatten the curve. And it's been a lot fucking longer than 3 weeks, I'll tell you that now.
Exactly. I think there's a sort of like thing I've been reading, it's called the totalitarian tiptoe. So
yes.
It's like they won't just go, you're sitting in your house, fine, the next day... martial law, it's wear a mask, let's do this, it just pushes forward.
Or it conditions you to think that it's normal.
It's acceptable for the government to tell you what to do and infringe on your sort of like freedom.
And I think the position that we're in now is oftentimes in society we use, you know, the words tyranny and dictatorship, often on the right and the left sometimes. The left use it a lot, saying, you know, Tories are dictators, whatever. And we overuse it, but now in this situation in COVID, we're not using it enough. And I think that the world is in denial, in thinking that history won't happen again. Oh, it won't happen to us. We won't let it happen.
No,
well, you are. It's happening right in front of your eyes, and you're just sitting in denial, and it's really frustrating. It's this idea of like wanting to be morally better than everyone else as well.
Exactly. So it's like this like virtue game, isn't it? Everyone was like, I have these different views that are woke, and everyone should listen to me.
Literally, uni at the student union. Oh, I can't say that.
We've done it now. We've done it. It's happened. Yeah. So like, I think that's such a problem as well, especially with like even like with lecturers and stuff. Them pushing their views in. It's always sort of like subtly done.
Well, the thing is, I just think they prioritise stuff that doesn't need to be prioritised. Let's have a look at Durham, for example. And we had this whole sex worker row, and they're saying, well, people can't afford to live. Well, I'll tell you why people can't afford to live, because it costs us £3.50 just to wash one of our clothes. Rents are rising. JCR levies are about £140 unnecessarily. You know, stuff is so expensive to live here, and instead of the student union working out how we can reduce these costs, they're too busy trying to push people into sex work or making the library more queer friendly, whatever that means. Or we've got a liberations officer, what are we liberating from? And like decolonise Durham. All this absolute load of nonsense that isn't going to help any of us get through our university studies any easier. And this is the people that we're being elected to put in charge, and I just think it's just a waste of time, absolute waste of time.
Exactly. It's like the student union building, like No one ever goes there.
No
one goes to that building.
Like, how do you make a library more queer friendly? I just don't. There's lack of priorities. It's really frustrating. And the people that are in the student union are all absolute lefty nutters. Like, they just are.
Fair. No, I think, like, you know, as we've said there, if they're saying you have to go, what was the sort of narrative of the sex work? I don't understand what they're even saying.
Oh, so they basically just said that they're offering training for students to get into sex work.
To get into it.
So it's like they're legitimising the industry. And in the words of one of the student union, I can't remember his name, I think they're all irrelevant to me. He said, you know, sex work is a legitimate industry. Because of the financial constraints of university. And
what?
I said, you're basically preying on vulnerable women who are in a vulnerable position financially to get them into an industry that is incredibly dangerous, backwards. And for some reason, people see it as progressive to enable people to thrive in the sex industry. But in my opinion, the only real progressive way to go about this is to get people out of sex work, not put them in.
That's like, no, like, that is so insane. Like, the whole point in the union should be students come together to go, right, sorry rent companies.
It's not. They use it to further their woke political beliefs, and it's like,
it just doesn't make sense.
No.
Like, tackle the issues that need to be tackled. Like, not to say the other issues aren't valid. Obviously, in their own sort of sector they are, but you know, there are bigger fish to fry.
These people don't live in the normal world. They just don't. They're in some sort of weird, strange bubble.
Where, like,
most of them are rich.
It's like champagne socialism, isn't it?
Oh,
that sort of
don't
thing.
get me started. I don't call them champagne socialists. I call them the embarrassed rich.
The embarrassed rich.
Yeah.
Because they think they feel guilty for where they are.
Yeah.
So they have to, like, do stuff like that.
Like, just own it.
So understand who you are. Don't try and put on this mask to try and be someone you're not. Like.
Although I must say, going to Durham, I don't think I've ever seen so many pairs of chinos in all of my life. There's a lot of chinos. I've just seen so many chinos. Chinos or blue hair is another one. Or mullets. I don't get the philosophy of a mullet personally, but yeah, it's too many pairs of chinos. I've had enough of seeing people in chinos.
Fair. I think it's like, so let's say you were the president of the student union. What would we do? What would you change? What would be the first thing?
Well, first of all, we won't be doing any of this decolonising, queer, library-friendly nonsense. We'll actually be taking steps to cut costs in the university. I won't be supporting any teacher strikes at all. None of this woke nonsense will be around here. None of this, lecturing people on white privilege. Nope, don't agree with any of it. We'll actually have a student union that runs for students for its purpose. But in actual fact, if I was the president of the Durham Students' Union, I'd abolish the thing.
Just bring it I would become the role and destroy it.
I do.
Right.
I think we should abolish student unions. We don't need them. They're just irrelevant. They're just a way for students to try and seek power to further their own political causes at the expense of the students. We don't need them. They're irrelevant. They're a waste of space, waste of money, and I'd abolish the whole thing.
What do you think about unions generally, like trade unions?
I hate all trade unions. Come on, I'm a Thatcherite.
There's the Thatcherite, exactly.
I absolutely hate all trade unions. I just don't think we need them anymore. And a lot of them use their platforms to pursue political agendas as opposed to, being there for their members. Like, if we look at the teaching unions, they were any second they got to make sure that they could trample on all of our futures, all of our educations, to try and push and play political games with this government, they took it. But the second one of their teachers is fearing for their life, hiding away at Batley Grammar School because he's being chased down by a mob of angry people for teaching about the Prophet Muhammad, or Kathleen Stock for her views on gender, again being hounded out of her university and hounded out of her job. The unions weren't there, so you cannot tell me that they care about their members. They are only simply there to push their political viewpoints forward.
So they sort of pick and choose their battles.
I call the teaching unions, obviously I want to be a teacher, I don't call them teaching unions, I call them anti-teaching unions, because they'll do anything they possibly can to not do their feckin' jobs. And that is the same with the BMA, I think, British Medical Association, and not having GPs see their patients face to face.
So that's the job,
Yeah,
that's
exactly,
the actual role they have.
My favourite one recently is the border force people that don't believe in the existence of borders. Why
well, you haven't
got
a job there, mate. Be gone.
I don't get it. I think if you work for border force but you don't believe in borders, you should be sacked.
That doesn't make sense. That's actually ridiculous.
Exactly. If you don't believe in, don't work for border force. It's like being a priest
but not believing in God.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
Exactly.
That's mental. So we've talked about that. So Thatcher, what would you say the best parts about Thatcher? What do you really like about her?
Her character. I think her character really resonated with me sort of growing up. Everybody had this expectation of what a student should be. I was just never that. I was absolute cold-blooded, I was just a boss. I didn't care. She was such a boss. She just She's not a populist. She doesn't care if people didn't like her. She got the job done. She was powerful. She wouldn't take any of this woke crap. She believed in conviction, not consensus. And she was probably the best leader this country's ever seen. Do I agree with all of her policies? No, but I don't like Thatcher for her policies. I like her for her character, and she's something that politics is massively, massively missing now. Bit of balls. We need some balls.
There's a lot of like people who just all they stand for is re-election.
Yes.
You know? So it's like you just need to like
this idea that politics isn't about principle, it's about winning. No, it's not.
Yeah, no, the whole point of you winning is so you can carry out your principle.
Exactly. That's exactly the point.
Honestly, it's insane because like even you've seen through COVID for sort of like the the stealing of money, sort of like the embezzlement you've seen.
Yeah.
It's just
Sleaze.
ridiculous. Like, all the sleaze, so much sleaze. It's ridiculous. Like Hancock literally was. It's insane what he's done. Like,
I mean, he's a dodgy little rat,
isn't he?
Rat, yeah.
Very like that guy too much.
No,
and it's like
that video of him
in his office. Matt, come on, mate. Sort it out, mate. Come on.
It scarred me to my life. I was like, please don't play this. Like,
honestly, it's insane. I just think like they should do more to hold them account. The amount of money that's been stolen from the British public, just wasted. Like there are firms that have like investment firms who have no history of providing PPE who've been given millions of pounds. No,
and I just think everything we do is, we're spending millions of pounds, shoveling people in from the channel, millions of pounds on test and trace and all this. It doesn't work, and yet we're the ones that have to fund this broken NHS. But we talk about this NHS and they pay people 75,000 to 100-something thousand to be a diversity and inclusion chief. I mean, what do you need them in the bloody NHS for? Ain't gonna, that's not gonna fix the black hole of patients, is it? It's just throwing it down the drain.
And you've got to wait sort of like even in Durham Hospital, you've got to wait like 5 hours.
The NHS is systematically broken, and you can't throwing money at stuff just doesn't fix it. It just doesn't. You're just throwing money down the drain with this. There's more managers than there are staff.
Yes, it's very sort of like. Yeah, that's a broken system.
I don't know if you've ever seen that meme where it's like, this manager, that manager, and they're all in there, and there's one guy digging in the pit, and
he's doing all the work for all these different managers.
And it's like Dave, and then it says due to cutbacks we're going to have to fire Dave. That is like that is the NHS in a picture. Like there is nothing more realistic than that.
It's just like understand where the money has to be, and that's the treatment of patients. Provide the provision of medicine, medical care, and the treatment of patients, not just like how many bureaucracies can be installed within a single organisation. Like
public services in this country are broken because we worship them like they're Jesus' his own gift. I mean, our national religion used to be Christianity, but now it is formally NHS worshipping.
And you see that the clap for carers thing, like you see, and nurses aren't even getting enough to bloody eat.
Well, now it's clap for carers. Now it's sack for carers if they don't have the vaccine, because that makes sense, doesn't it?
Is it that in the UK or?
Yeah.
About they lose their job?
60,000 care workers are set to lose their job. 1 in 14 care workers in Durham haven't been vaccinated because they haven't had access to the COVID-19 vaccine. But my question, and this is the same for the NHS, and there's a few problems with this because my question is, they tell us year after year after year that the NHS is understaffed. Every day since I was born, that's always a narrative. So how on earth can they now afford to sack 40,000 NHS staff and 60,000 care staff or whatever? Who's going to replace these people? Secondly, these people worked on the front line through the entire pandemic with no vaccine. What has changed now? Nothing.
Yeah, why now?
Nothing. And another thing is that we have spent the last 2 years of our lives sitting in our houses, losing everything, birthdays, Christmas, everything, for this so-called proverbial protect the NHS. And now the government are going to deliberately destroy the NHS and overwhelm the NHS by sacking all of the staff. So we've given up everything, and now the government are going to purposefully overwhelm it anyway. Exactly. It makes no sense.
I just think people need to just wake up and realise the battle that we're in. Like, this cannot change through conventional means. We need action on the streets and stuff, actual protests and stuff.
I mean, there's been some pretty big protests, but the problem is that media won't cover it. There's been massive lockdown protests in this country and globally, and the media aren't covering it. But what they'll do is they'll do wall-to-wall, back-to-back coverage of like 9 twats sticking themselves to a road.
Yeah, because it's distraction, isn't it?
Every day, but they refuse to cover the lockdown protests because it doesn't fit their political narratives. Because at the end of the day, if people are scared, the media get money. for yourselves, and that's just the way it is. That's why a lot of the media are doing what they're doing.
Exactly, because, you know, what's more politically expedient for the Rupert Murdoch group who controls the papers? They're going to go, look at this idiot crying to the road. To be fair,
no, Murdoch is absolutely based. Like Talk Radio, which is obviously owned by Murdoch, and Sky News Australia, they've been absolutely
pretty good
on top of it, just destroying all of this COVID narrative. And the Murdoch, the papers that are owned by obviously Rupert Murdoch Group, it's like global. So you have News UK, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, and obviously that coincides with Sky News Australia and all of the Fox News and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's global, which is like LBC and stuff like that are all like, and the BBC, of course, the anti-British Broadcasting Corporation. They're just pain in the eye. We just need to defund them.
And also, have you seen that sort of TV license stuff as well?
Yeah, I got my TV license letter in the post the other day for uni, and I had great pleasure in ripping it up and putting it in the bin.
Straight in the bin. So yeah, what's it like actually being on sort of talk shows? What's that? How's that?
Quite. I don't know. I wouldn't say surreal, because when I'm there, it feels so normal. Like I'm with, you know, my friends. We have such great banter, really good times in the studio. And then I think, oh, you know, I remember as a kid watching these people on it and just thinking that they were some sort of different breed. I never would imagine I'd be on it.
Here you are. Like.
Yeah, it's quite weird being in front of a camera, because it's almost as if it's not there. And it's really quite nice, actually. Yeah, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Sometimes I get nervous when I'm working with a new presenter, but like last night. So, but yeah, it's quite overwhelming as well, though. Like just even like Twitter, anything I say or do, there's just always
asking
loads of people. It's so much pressure for me. Like I can't just be normal. Like I wish I could. Like just use Twitter in the same way that everyone else does, but I can't do that anymore.
It's even with that sort of like KFC thing, wasn't it? You posting that as a normal person, and then or whatever, people backlash, just like what?
Yeah, like I got a DM from the Daily Mail Australia.
What?
About that. I was like, I messaged her back and I said, is this really a thing in Australia? And then she sent me like loads of like news articles like in Australia about it, and I was like, are you joking? Like, I'm literally just an irrelevant lass. Like I don't understand.
How is this now global news?
Yeah, and like even all of my tweets get like thousands of likes. I just feel like there's so much pressure. Like anything I say, like loads of people can see, because I'm followed by MP after MP, presenters, you name it, they follow me.
Exactly, wow.
Which is cool, because they're like my friends, but when you think about who your friends are, you're like, actually, that's a little bit mad, really.
Yeah, it's like most people's friends are just their mates from school. Your friends are like MPs and like presenters and stuff.
Exactly.
Wow. So when you first did your first like live show, how was that?
My first live show was, I remember this. It was GB News Tonight Live with Patrick Christie's. He messaged me saying, Mark Dolan is away. I'm covering the show. Can you come on my show? Because I went on his Talk Radio show. I said, yeah, sure. I did my first live show and stuff that was on Zoom, but this was like our first in the studio show. So I get into the GB News studio and it is gorgeous. And I'm like, wow, this is like amazing. See Patrick, give him a hug. And he was very stressed, because it was also his very first time. He'd only been at GB News maybe like 2 weeks.
Wow.
So it's his first time doing the Tonight Live show, and he was like sweating. He kept on going to me, Sophie, do I look okay? Is this good? I was like, Patrick, it's my first time too.
We're both in this together, mate.
And the panel I had is a comedian, Tommy Sander, and we got along really well. And then we had this really drab girl that looked like Wednesday Addams.
Oh, really?
And it was just so... And then she was just so drab. And then Patrick comes up to me after the show and says, so, are they gone? I was like, yeah. She was like, who was that girl at the end? She's so boring.
Say something, come on, like.
Yeah, but no, it was really cool. And I think at that moment I stepped into the studio and did that. I thought, yeah, I want to do this forever.
That's it. Was that at that moment?
It was really good. Yeah, it was just so, because I thought it was so relaxed. It was one of the most relaxed places I've ever been in.
Yeah.
And it was just so good. Like, it was so good. I know obviously Patrick was stressing out, but it was just such a good vibe.
Right,
and it's really always like that in the GB News studio. I'm going to imagine some shows are not like that. Like, I know the BBC and all that aren't. They're really like, you know, militant, but GB News is so fun, so relaxed. We have such a good laugh. Even if you've got the massive lefty on the panel, like, you just get along, like everyone, because we're all in the same situations together. Like I said, it's hard getting in the bubble, but once you're in the bubble, we won't never come out.
Exactly. So what sort of like, What sort of people have you met, and like, what do you think about them? What sort of the big names you've met?
Obviously, Jeremy Vine is good. Richard Tice is really good. Farage, saw him around the studio. I'm going on hopefully Dan Wootton's show soon. He's quite a big name. Yeah, I've met quite Kevin O'Sullivan, loads of people. Obviously like MPs. I've met Sajid Javid.
What's he like?
Really short.
Really short.
Like extremely short. Like about my size. Like he's so small. But yeah, it's been pretty cool. Like all of these, people, most of them 50, 60, 70, up to 100,000 followers. Lawrence Fox is one of them. 330,000 something. Yeah, it is really cool. I have so many incredible friends, broadcasters, presenters, politicians, ex-MEPs. Yeah, really surrounded by a really great group of people.
Nice. Have you ever had any sort of weird experiences whilst doing it, or has it all been quite alright, do you think? Or?
God. My weirdest experience was when I was 18 and I got Twitter. It was the very first time I sort of got Twitter, and there is this Conservative MP called Rob Roberts.
Oh yeah.
Who?
Oh, I know about that.
Yes.
I do know about that. Yeah.
And I was on Twitter, and he was talking about he's an opera singer, and I said, I bet you'd smash a bit of Les Mis, you absolutely smash a bit of Les Mis.
Smash it out, mate. Yeah.
And then he turned around and replied, I would smash a lot more than that, winky face.
And that's
to me.
What the fuck?
And I've never felt so
that's
in
terrible,
my
isn't
entire
it?
life. And to be fair, it's such a culture in Parliament though. I speak to a lot of my staff friends, and most of them have slept with countless number of MPs who are married, and women are expected to sleep with people in this industry. A lot of the young women that have got to the top have slept with a lot of people. I haven't.
Nope, we haven't not done that. We have not done that.
I refuse to. I just won't do it.
So have you had sort of advances then, or?
It happens quite a lot at conference, hence why I avoid going to conference.
Is that sort of where it goes down?
Yeah, and I know that it's not just men or women, it's also the older men or young boys. There's a lot of stuff goes down. It's just
that's even hearing that is disgusting, isn't it?
It's a disgusting industry. It is an absolutely disgusting industry.
Wow.
But it will never change.
Do you think that's sort of the culture of it then?
Yeah, it will never change ever. There's a lot of drugs. There's a lot of sex. A lot of alcohol.
You wouldn't think that, would you?
That's just the culture of it.
Yeah. So would you say Parliament's quite a toxic place then? Or?
Yeah.
That was a very quick yeah. So yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah. No question. There's a reason why I haven't become a parliamentary staffer.
Yeah, because obviously the sort of implication of that job.
Yeah, especially to be a young woman
in that environment.
Yeah, no way.
No, thank you. No way.
No.
Oh, wow. That is, I've heard about the Rob Roberts thing. So for the people who don't know about that, could you just give a bit of context?
Okay, so Rob Roberts basically tried to have sex with his, pressure his female staffer into having sex with him, and then she exposed him. So it's a bit of a sex pest, but I mean...
Bit of a pest, Mr. Roberts. So, yeah.
I mean, all of them are.
Yeah.
All of them are. Even Stanley Johnson's one that's sort of come out now.
Really?
Grabbing a young, one woman's arse at conference and stuff.
Hell.
And then people like Nadine Dorries are well, he never grabbed my arse. Or
just didn't happen to you.
I know he loves a little bit of arse grabbing, but he's a lovely person. We're all really?
Yeah, right, cool.
Really? Do you have to say this?
So who is this helping? There are people who are genuine victims here. Why are you saying that?
It's not a good industry to be in.
No,
because it's so competitive, there's a lot of jealousy and there's a lot of rivalry.
So do you think some people would be prepared to sleep to the top, so they'll get there, and some people
I know a lot of women that have done that.
Obviously, you won't out
anyone. All of the young women so far that have got to the top, other than me, have slept their way there.
What, really?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. So you see all these terms of meritocracy being battered about, and then obviously. That's the reality.
Yep.
Wow.
For women, yeah.
And that's disgusting, isn't it? You always talk about sort of feminism. That's a real issue. That's a real fucking issue that needs to be tackled.
I know for a fact that I believe the Conservative Party have good looking women to sleep with donors in order to get donations.
Well, they actually employ the good looking women.
Yep, and they flirt with donors too. They're a lot of the time they're party members, and they sort of let them rise up in the party and give them good connection to the party for them to sleep with not sleep with or flirt with donors to get donations.
Yeah, but there's all that stuff about them giving out titles as well. So why not get a few women involved as well?
Yeah,
for a party?
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
It's corrupt.
That is terrible.
It's so corrupt.
The thing is that with some other nations, the corruption is out there and public.
Yeah.
The corruption in this country is still as bad, if not worse, but it's sort of hidden in the shadows.
Hidden under the rug, yeah.
Under the rug.
It will never change, though. This is just the culture of politics, and those of us who who want to be successful in it need to just learn to adapt. That you're never going to change the system ever.
You just got to work within the system.
Because if you try and change the system, you won't get in it. It's that simple.
It's like being in a tent pissing out sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's so insane. Because so let's say you was a young woman in politics, you didn't have, which you are, and what has the pressure been to do that sort of thing? Like quite heavy or sort of not that much or?
I mean, I think I've avoided situations.
Has stuff come up though?
That could do, yeah.
So
I think it's a reality for all of us.
So you take steps consciously to avoid that.
Yeah,
sort of
so
thing.
I've never been to party conference. I've chosen not to work in Parliament. A lot of people have asked to sleep with me, and they have girlfriends, and I'm like, why would you? I don't.
Where do you think that comes from? It's sort of a power thing, or?
Yeah, even just parliamentary staffers, they have girlfriends and they're asking to sleep with other people. I'm like, why would you do that? But it's reciprocated by MPs. It happens with MPs. I mean, it happened with our Prime Minister. There's just a lot of unfaithfulness and...
Yeah, Boris, he's got how many kids has he got? Who knows?
I think he's got about 7 or something.
It's funny because on Wikipedia it's 527. They don't actually know an
they
actual
don't know
figure.
how
It's just
many,
somewhere. Yeah, that's insane. So this goes right to the top then, basically.
Oh, yeah.
And it just happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's an unconscious thing. Didn't he say about Carrie the other day that he was having buyer's remorse about marrying her?
Yeah, I mean...
Bloody hell. That's terrible.
I mean, I can't stand Carrie. I don't blame him.
Fair.
I would have buyer's remorse too.
Honestly, that is because that's not really out there. That's really mental, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really well known that it happens in politics.
If you're in the bubble, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. That's insane.
You always know who slept with who.
It's not gossiped as well,
yeah.
so everyone kind of knows. Wow. So what's been your favourite sort of talk show you've done, or sort of favourite piece you've done so far?
Oh, I really enjoyed we had a clash piece on sex work. And
sounds like you coming against someone else.
I took on someone from OnlyFans, and that
really,
wow. And that was a really, really good, really good discussion.
That's so nice. Yeah.
I liked to do the we have a segment on GB News called The Greatest Britain in Union Jackass.
Nice. That's quite a cool name. Yeah.
And I like that. So you choose the best person of the week and the twat of the week, basically.
It's like rugby. You have a star of a dick of the week as well.
Yeah, dick of the week. Yeah. So it was really good. I really like that part of the show as well.
Nice.
Jeremy Barton was really good today. Actually, we had really good time with it. So.
Nice.
But I do really like my talk radio segment where we just slag off universities because it's good fun.
Oh, yeah, so tell me a bit more about that then. So what sort of the stuff that's come up recently?
Okay, so we have a weekly segment with me and Kevin O'Sullivan called Stupid Students, and I have discussed, it's basically just detailing all the woke shit that unis are doing. So poor DSU, Durham Students Union, gets dragged up every week.
Come on, it's your time now. Out you come.
Every week occurs for them, which is cool because we've written them a few times. Bless them.
So what other stuff do you do sort of now?
Obviously I have a lot of stuff, really cool stuff coming in the future. I'm actually writing a book as well.
Oh, really?
So it's going to be called Educational Indoctrination, The Life of a Conservative on Campus, and it basically is just
really cool.
It's just going to detail, what is going on in schools and universities across the country, what it's actually like to be sort of a right-winger in these sort of institutions, and how the wokeness and leftism has sort of encapsulated our educational institutions, but looking at it from an insider's perspective, which is really cool. So hopefully I'll get that out at the beginning of maybe the third year of my university. So hopefully I'll be leaving university with potentially a couple of elections under my belt, a book, lots of followers, and a few TV shows to my name. So it should be okay.
And that's insane when most people are just trying to get by with their degree. And
yeah,
you're doing all of this. How do you think you find time for it then? Or
pray.
That's it.
To be honest, I genuinely don't know. I mean, I've stopped playing football, so that's been a massive help in terms of that. I probably will go back to playing football next year though, because I miss it. I don't go to any of my lectures.
Fair.
I just feel they're irrelevant. I go to my seminars, don't worry guys. But yeah, just lots of travelling, lots of, being up till 3, 4, 5 in the morning.
Yeah, so you really put in the work there. So that's
yeah. You don't get anywhere. None of this is about luck.
It's all hard work.
A lot of people have said, was it luck? And I said, no. I think most of it was hard work, but the other part was fate, I think.
Do you believe in fate then?
I believe I was born to be a politician. I knew that since I was in secondary school.
So was there a point when you were like, this is it, or?
Oh, I mean, I've always tried to convince myself that I don't want to go into politics, but there is something in my life and in my heart that will never allow me to get away from it. It's just what I was meant to do. I remember my maths teacher in year 7 was like, Sophie, you should be a politician. I was like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, and then, I wanted to, go into business. I wanted to do this, but it always comes back to wanting to be in politics.
Yeah, so you'd go one way, it'd bring you back.
Yeah. I genuinely, consciously try to convince myself every 2 minutes that I do not want a career in politics, but I cannot. There is something in my mind that just will not let me do it.
Maybe you've got to do it then.
I think it was fate. I genuinely think people that get into politics were born to go into it.
Nice. Do you think a lot of people go into politics for the right reasons or the wrong reasons?
I think everybody goes into it for the right reasons.
And then it gets because some people get sort of like corrupted along the way, don't they?
Yeah. The actual industry is very corrupt, and I think to get into it and to thrive in it, you have to be corrupt. Most people don't want to be. And there are a lot of people that use the lobbying and the money that are doing that. But I think in terms of when you're starting to get into the industry, you want to do it because you want to make a difference, or you want to help people, or even sometimes it's not even helping people, it's just being able to speak what you feel. Exactly. And I think that's what happened with me, is I just got Twitter, spoke how I felt. And I think the reason that sets me apart from a lot of young people in this country is a lot of them try and be too smart. They try and be someone, and be this thing, this image of what a politician should be. Yeah, and I've never done that, because I know for a fact that I'm not smart. Like, I don't try and be smart, but what they don't realise is the majority of the nation doesn't have a degree in politics, doesn't use all of these big words. They just want to know how the hell you're going to stop the immigrants coming through the channel. And that's the reality of it. And that is why I've managed to gain success and a lot of other people haven't, because I'm relatable. People can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're not, using all this like lingo.
No, exactly. And those people that do have no personalities. They're boring.
And most of the things they're saying, they're just reading off a hymn sheet anyway, aren't they? So
yeah, you can't be boring in politics. Like, you just can't. That's why Boris has got where he is. The man is thick as 2 planks, but people feel like they can go down to the pub and have a pint with him, even though he's from Eton and the most privileged background you could ever imagine.
Because he comes across
he comes across that way. And that's the same with me. And a lot of young people are too wrapped up in their own egos to understand that. And they always try and call me stupid. And a lot of them try and make fun of me because I work at KFC as well. But I'm like, look at your 300 followers and look at mine, darling.
Exactly. It's like, where are you and where am I? So don't judge me.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting topic. How have you have you had any sort of hate comments come up, and how have you dealt with that?
Never had
it. Maybe one or two.
1 or 200. Okay, so these are my top favourites. It is not a day for me in Twitter if I don't get called a slag or a whore at least once a day.
Fucking hell, yeah.
You're not a Tory if you haven't been called a Tory cunt at least 500 times. I've been told that I look like a Burns victim. I've had people say that they want to throw acid in my face, that they want to slit my wrist, that they want to hit me over the head with a bottle. Everything you could ever imagine. I've been told to kill myself. I've told people who say that they want to kill me. I every day, every tweet, everything. And I get a lot of abuse from the left, which I expect because I piss them off. I know I do. But I also get a lot of abuse from the right of young people that do not like the fact that I am disabled. I'm from a working class background. I went to a state school. I'm from a crappy place called from Thurrock in Essex. I don't speak like I'm, the next born Jesus that's got a thesaurus stuck up my arse. I'm a normal person, and they don't like the fact that I've been able to get where I've got and they haven't. Because
they've had the privilege and they've had the advantage.
Yes, and they hate that.
That's
and
amazing.
They genuinely harass me like every day. I get harassed every day on Twitter. But do I care? No. Why? Because I've been through a lot harder times in my life than somebody sending me a mean tweet.
Exactly. Like, so going back to what we talked about, you being at school, that was fucking hard.
Okay, so I think probably that escalated, and my sister has something called bipolar, and I think last year has been really difficult as well while I was struggling with this career in politics. So my sister has bipolar. She ended up getting sectioned, and then they sent her home, and we were like, don't send her home because she's going to kill herself. She's going to kill herself. And I was sitting at home doing an online lesson, and all of a sudden the police turn up at my house. And they're like, your sister's like, my twin sister, so my literal soulmate, has tried to like throw herself over the M25. So I've cleared up my sister's sick when she's overdosed. All of this, right? And, you know, she was sectioned for 2 months, come back, sectioned again. You know, even whilst I've been at university, she's head to toe, burns, whatever. She's just dreadful, right? So do I care what you have to say about me on Twitter? No. Why? Because I see this day in, day out, and I've been through this, and I just don't care what you have to say. And a lot of people talk about my sister, and they're like, oh, because I posted a photo of my sister on Twitter the other day, my twin, saying, oh, like, you're so gorgeous, whatever. And they could see her covered in self-harm, and they were like, why would you post that? I said, why am I going to be ashamed of my sister? I love her for who she is, and I always love her for who she is. But this idea that we've all had easy lives, most people that go into politics have had absolutely dreadful lives. And we've got into politics because we know how it feels, and we are tough enough to be able to combat all of the abuse we get, because simply the bottom line is we've been through a lot more in our lives than we have with that. However, this idea that all of this abuse doesn't hurt you is bollocks. And you should allow it, you know, you to feel these things and to be offended by this sort of thing. But it doesn't mean it can't stop you. But when people say it can't stop you, it doesn't mean it can't hurt you. And this is the idea that schools push this through failure as well. Schools say, oh, you shouldn't be scared to fail. You know, failure is not a bad thing. And by doing that, they imply that you shouldn't be upset when you fail, which is a load of crap, because you absolutely should be upset if you fail. Like, you shouldn't want to fail. And that's the part of failure that is so important, because that feeling of being a failure is what will drive you to succeed. It's that feeling of, I do not want to feel what I felt again, and that is what drives you to succeed. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I am so successful, because the one reason I always do what I want to do and continue to grow and continue to do this is because I've got so many people in my fucking life that I have to prove wrong, who counted me out when I was young because I was epileptic, couldn't go to school, whatever, who basically said that I would never amount to anything, who refused to move me up sets because of their view that they had of me, even though I was smart. And I've spent, you know, most of my life believing that I'm stupid, so I need to show these people that they were wrong. And I'm almost become obsessed with that, and that's been the biggest driver of my success that I've ever had, and it continues to be, really. And I'm actually quite grateful for it.
Exactly. I think the main thing I've kind of taken from today and from all of this is you just have to be unapologetically yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, if they don't like you for who you are, they don't like you. Like, exactly. Why would you want someone to like you for who you're not? Like, it just makes no sense to me. And you will create your own success if you believe in yourself more enough, because there's a lot, don't get me wrong, I don't believe in yourself. I go through this and I think, why am I here? Why am I on TV? Why do people care what I have to say? This, that and the other. I don't have a lot of self-belief, but there's always that bit of confidence of just, fuck it, gotta do it. Just do it. Yeah. Exactly. And I've always had this view of, you only get one life and you got to make the most of it, and it doesn't really matter what cards you get dealt. You know, I can't drive, I can't join the army, I can't do all this stuff, but it doesn't matter, because just because I have less opportunities doesn't mean the opportunities that I have aren't good.
Exactly.
And it doesn't mean you can't live an incredible life. And I thought, well, I've been dealt these cards, there's nothing I can do to do it. I either allow myself to live a rubbish life or I don't, and I didn't. And now I'm reaping the rewards, or not rewards in my case. We're getting into an industry that is disgraceful.
Yeah.
By complete utter accident. And part of me is very grateful that all of this occurs, and part of me wishes that I could undo it all.
Just be working in KFC.
Yes, I just want a normal thing. Like, all of this just occurred from Twitter. It just doesn't quite sink in.
No. I think you must have to look around and go, what is going on here?
Yeah, I don't think when I'm on TV and stuff, it is so normal, even though it's not normal. And that's how I know that I was born to do it. Because reality, from my background, from the fact, from everything about me, I shouldn't be doing it.
But despite everything,
I shouldn't be doing it. But I am, because I was born to do it. And that was why I was put on this earth. And that's just how I knew. And that's because it doesn't matter how hard I get away from it. It doesn't matter where I started. I'm here. So
that's so powerful, Sophie. And I think a lot of our listeners will really sort of get something from this.
A lot of your listeners probably know me and can't stand me. I hope that you saw my Margaret Thatcher cut out, and I would like to take the time to remind you that she is the best Prime Minister we've ever had. Thank you very much.
Nice one. Thank you so much, Sophie. This has been amazing, and I'm sure you're going to be very, very successful. And maybe
I hope not.
get you on for a part 2 when you're Prime Minister.
Yes, I hope not. I hope it doesn't get to that point, but it might do. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. Anyway, thank you so much, and this has been the Lawless podcast, and we'll see you in the next one.